back. They have won the Stanley Cup.
I think it's tough enough to win one. We've done two, so you might as well go for three, right?
Our time, baby, back to back. That's how we do it.
What do you think of this team?
Unbelievable. Nobody can beat us. Back to back years.
It's so much fun to be a part of. The crowd can have an effect on teams. The emotions get turned up.
And then last year they gave Vezina to somebody else. Number one bullshit. Number one bullshit.
Here it is for you guys. Enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of We the Thunder. I don't have sound effects, so there it is. There's your lightning bolt. It's basically as good as the cat sound they play in Amelie for Bassi. I mean, come on, what do you want from me? With me, as always, Schoolie, absent, clearly not here tonight, is our leader. Shooter, he's out of town, gallivanting somewhere. Luckily for you and for me and for all of us, we have the very best guest you could have on any Lightning podcast show, anything here tonight. And here, with the grand entrance and intro, I give it to the professor to intro our guest tonight.
Thanks, Dash. So I asked tonight to be able to introduce this special guest that we have. It's someone that I have been lucky enough to call not only a friend, but a family member for quite a while now. For over 10 years, she's been singing the National Anthem at all the Tampa Bay Lightning games. And one of the best ambassadors that they could have anywhere. And on April 15th, she invites everybody out there in Lightning Nation to invite her to join her in fighting MS on the Fight MS Walk. That will be April 15th at Al Lopez Park. It's 1 mile or 3 miles. Starts at 9:30 in the morning. And all you got to do is look up the MS Walk. Her team is called Puck MS. So without further ado, here comes Sonya Bryson-Kirksey.
Woo!
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's always our pleasure. We still remember that little tribute you did for us for our 100th episode, and it's probably the favorite thing that has ever happened to me as a Bolts fan. So yeah, I'm keeping that one in my back pocket for a rainy day.
You guys are awesome, though.
Yeah.
Listen, anytime I get that text message saying, "Where are you? Can you come out here and give me a hug?" It's like,
right.
And then I go out there and there's a line to meet her. And I'm like, I'll never forget the day I asked her daughter, I was like, do you ever get tired of this? Do you ever say once in a while, I wish you weren't Sonya Bryson-Kirksey and we could just enjoy a game? And she said no. She said she enjoys the people and she enjoys the look on Sonya's face when she meets everybody and when she takes pictures with them. So I personally tell her every single time I will be her bodyguard and I will tell everybody one pitcher and get away. Keep it moving.
You sure do every single time.
I would volunteer for that job, but I would somehow get myself in trouble no matter
Yeah,
what. It would end badly for a man.
Exactly.
Thomas is the perfect bodyguard for that.
Well, even when she came back from COVID, her first game back after COVID, I go up. She's getting ready to do her interview with Michelle Michaels with WFLA. I go over and give her a big hug, and then Melanie goes live and says, and she asked that nobody give her a hug, so I'm not going to give her a hug. I was like, why didn't you tell me this? Why didn't you just kick me away as I went to go give you a hug? And she's like, you're fine. Yes. Like, oh my gosh, now I just feel like a complete
No, because you're Tom, so it's different. It's different. And it's unfortunate that I still kind of feel that way. I kind of, push people to do fist pumps mostly and try to stay away from the hugs. I just don't want to be in that position again. So I try to keep my distance.
Well, I can tell you right now, there's nobody in the Lightning fandom that begrudges you your space to maintain your health, because that's always most important for us. Which I think leads us back to Thomas's intro. We go ahead and lead it off with your event you're having down for your MS walk. Why don't you just tell us a little bit more from your perspective and your words, what's going down?
Well, it's not my activity, but it's
team in the
it's my team for Walk MS. Walk MS, they do it every year to raise money to help find a cure, hopefully, for MS. But there's other activities. There's Bike MS. Bike MS is held over in Orlando every year in March. I just did that a couple of weeks ago. I didn't bike, but I just went up there to sing for them. I'm not a biking person. But Walk MS is my heart, because it's one of the first events that I ever did after finding out that I had MS. So I like it because, you don't have to be on a team if you don't want to. If you want to just come out and participate, just walk with people. Or if you have MS, you can meet a lot of people that have it, and, you can discuss different things, from medication to how people are doing. You get to, a lot of camaraderie when you go. And if you're a person without MS, or you don't have any kind of debilitating disease such as this, then you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot by just looking around. There's people from every end of the spectrum. So you have people, I'll say like me, who my issues or problems are kind of invisible because you guys don't see it. You see the Sonya that you see at the game. You don't see the, I'm in bed all day because I can't move. My body hurts, all this other stuff. That's one end of the spectrum. But then the other end of the spectrum are the people who you have to see because they're in wheelchairs, they're using a rollator, or they can't walk at all. So there's a lot of different things that you can learn about MS and what you can do to help. And it's just going to be a wonderful event. It always is. Hopefully we get Thunderbug out there. We're hopefully having the mascot from the Rowdies and Raymond also from the Rays. So I think it's going to be fun if you want to bring your kids. It's you only be out there for a couple hours, from 9 to about 11, honestly, because the sun gets so hot. After the walk, we just disband quickly and get the heck out of there.
Pelican P is the mascot for the Rowdies. Yeah.
Right.
The professor knows. Never,
He always knows.
He always knows. That's why he's the professor.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I'm really glad we can have you on. We can support that cause. There's a lot of causes that we support as hockey fans. Cancer is one of the big ones, but I don't think a lot of people know about MS and how many people live with it. And there are people, like you said, from all over the spectrum. There are athletes that have MS that are finding ways to still live their life at the highest level, but they pay a price to do so. And you don't see that every day. Long days to the hospital, you mentioned before we came on for you, some days that we don't see. So those are the things that, absolutely. The awareness is something I'm very proud to be a part of, to help let people know that there's so many different levels just with something like cancer that some of it's very obvious. Some of it you would never even know unless you talk to that person and they shared their story with you. So I'm very happy that you're able to come on and tell our friends about that, especially because unfortunately we get these awesome guests, Schoolie, on the tail end of a bad week of hockey.
Yeah.
You know, we had JP on a few weeks ago.
I think every time I've been on here, we've been on a losing streak, unfortunately.
We got to stop bringing you on in March.
No.
You cannot come on in March.
No, because you don't see anybody cussing in the chat. And that's because Sonya's on here.
The vibes.
So that's why we bring her on.
No bad vibes with Sonya in the house.
That's right. We tell the Lightning, listen, you can crap this week. Sonya's on the podcast. You're fine.
Right. Take a break. We'll be
good. We'll be good.
We got you. Yeah. No, I mean, it's funny because we had JP on about 3 weeks ago or so, and it was at the tail end of that really bad road trip, and like. And the time he'd come on before, he had like two games we'd lost before. So it's we get some of our best guests after the worst hockey. But, you know, I changed out my picture here over my head. I don't know if anybody noticed. Usually that's Killorn raising the cup from 2020. I changed that. That's now, I know I need to back up a little bit so you can see my swag better. But that's Stamkos' goal against Dallas in 2020 when he came out.
That was awesome.
One goal. That
was awesome.
Autographed by him. So I'm trying to change up the vibe. Yeah, I'm trying to change up the vibe a little bit, you know, get a little more positive.
Yeah.
Got the captain's sweatshirt on the back of the chair. Got the Hall of Fame pucks up that I scored at the game the other night too, and a little poster. So I'm just trying to get all the vibes. You know, there's so much negativity out there in the fan groups right now. I'm trying to do my best to flip the script and always be that glass is half full of bourbon here in my monkey cult tumbler, shameless pug. That's me. That's always gonna be me. So
I gotcha.
You know, it was a rough week. We had a great week before the show, last week's show. Whenever we went 4-0 or 3-1,
3-1,
and we
3-1.
We beat Jersey twice in Montreal. Well, great. And then that game against Jersey last Sunday, I think it was a great game. And in the third, they just kind of stopped skating halfway, 2/3 through that game. And New Jersey is a great team, and I don't think that you were going to beat them 3 times in a week anyways. What really I thought stunk was then having to go on the road to Montreal and losing that game. And because I still think the Lightning played better in that game. You know, when you really look at it overall, they played better. The problem is that they still are passing pucks. They're not shooting pucks, and they're not getting pucks to the net, right? If I could go back, because I don't know really if I want to break down the 7-2 game in Ottawa. We're just pretending that didn't happen, right?
Woo.
And if we talk about Boston, we're going to talk about how that game started, right? Not how the game ended, because that's one of the greatest starts to a hockey game I've ever seen, and crazy first period. But I'm getting ahead of I think the overall tone is they're still passing too much. And they're still struggling getting pucks to the net.
Yeah, still shooting wide. Still shooting wide or over.
Hagel has got this. Engblom mentioned it on the broadcast that he's kind of had this tendency the last couple weeks when he comes in high and wide when he's coming down the right side of the ice.
Yeah.
We saw on the power play the 5-on-3, Stamkos and Kucherov 3 passes back to each other, and then it got broken up. Either one of them could have at least tried to send it. I think Cooch had a couple of lanes during that 5-on-3 that he didn't utilize. And then at the end of the game, they finally started shooting, and Cooch had a couple of, when they pulled they were playing better at the end of the third. But against a team like Boston, they had that bounce off of that power play, which was, I thought, an absolute terrible call. How do you get penalized for chirping in the NHL?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the one thing I want to bring up about that game. Coincidence or not, Maroon has a history with broadcaster who shall not be named for fat shaming him, and then Maroon gets a misconduct for chirping on the bench in Boston. Coincidence? I don't think so. I don't think that's
and there is a lot of stuff on the internet because actually the ref that was calling that is actually from Boston. He was born in Boston. But if you do watch some of Rooney's games, he's pretty fair, and he has called plenty of penalties against Boston in the past. But like Serena says, Maroon is always chirping. We hear the hot mics all the time.
Yep.
And they're always chirping back and forth.
And again, it's never personal. What could he have said that's really a misconduct? Because that's one thing we do know about Patty. After the the thing with Jack about his comments about him, we know that Patty doesn't go there. He doesn't really go below the belt. He keeps it hockey related. He keeps it on ice related. Usually it's, I got 3, right? Usually that's his favorite chirp. I've got 3. How many you got? So, I mean, and yes, and I will say, and April brought this up. I was going to bring this up. They both got Wayne Simmons and Maroon got 10 minutes each for game misconduct for chirping each other. But that was after they had already gotten into a fight and an altercation on the ice, and then they went to the bench and they didn't stop, and they were both going at each other. And that I thought was a fair call because neither one of them was letting up, right? After the way that game started, and then all the penalties that they were calling, which were pretty suspect, especially that interference on Janelle. But anyways, how do you just suddenly be like, oh, now you're going for chirping? Literally 2 minutes for chirping in the NHL after that. After that badass start we had with basically a full line brawl.
Yeah.
Like old school, the way we love it. And now let's just make it really weak with putting them in the box. And then they get the power play goal on that, on the deflection whenever Hedman makes the great play and they get the lucky bounce because they got the puck to the net, and that's the thing that you didn't see the Lightning really do throughout the game is they just had a hard time shooting the puck at the net whenever they had the chance. This team continues to try and pass the puck in the net instead of playing for rebounds and playing for those gritty goals, which we know historically is what gets you deep into playoffs.
Something I saw, it might have been brought up by Eric Erelson or it could have been Chris Kren, one of them, that these 5-on-3s, they need to stop going with 5 forwards. They need to start putting a defenseman back in there.
Yeah,
and I think the defensemen, if the defensemen are good on the power play, you had Hetty get the shorty that game.
On the PK, yeah.
Why if you just have on that 5-on-3, if you have Sergey or you have Hetty, then they're going to be shooters.
There's going to be a bomb or two at least. Yeah.
Right. Just like another forward. Even a Bogosian in there or a Perbix. Those guys will shoot from the blue line and at least get those 5-on-3s, they tend to not do good having those 5 forwards in there. We need to get one of the D-men back on there.
And Hedman led the team with 5 shots on goal in that game. And he didn't play the 5-on-3.
And that was Coop's 10-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
He flew home that day. The team flew home. There was 5-6 of us. April can probably, I think there was 6 of us at the airport to greet them home. And this is how bad it was for Coop. His battery wouldn't start.
Oh no.
So and the engineer had to jump his car for him to be able to leave.
Oh wow.
So it was just a complete horrible road trip. And then but when he came out to us, he rolled down his window and said, Kim Ricci, she had a sign that said happy 10 years. And he said, thanks guys, not the way I wanted it. But yeah, he had a battery. So his day was even worse. So, but
that's rough.
Yeah. And that's the other thing you see Sergachev was second on the team with shots on goal. In that Boston game, and I kind of I saw some people chatting on Facebook about that, and I kind of dismissed it a little bit. But as you bring it up, you go back and look at the stats, and I mean, you can see those are the guys that are still trying to get the puck towards the net on a consistent basis, and they got to lead the team. So,
and to me, if they're good for a power play, they're when it's a 5-on-4 power play, they're good enough for a 5-on-3.
0 for 5 power play against Boston, which I mean isn't that expected. They went 1 for 7. By the way, 7 penalties against the Lightning called in that game. Do the math.
I think the time for ours
total 12 total.
I think the time for ours though only equaled up to 4 minutes and something because there was a couple of them that were only 20 seconds.
Full 4-on-4. There was almost a full 5-on-3.
Yeah.
There was a couple of concurrent in there. I mean, even their 7 wasn't full. Braden Point had 4.5 minutes of power play. So Stamkos and Kuch each had 5 minutes total of power play time on ice. in that game. So yeah, I mean, for 5 penalties, for them to only have that much time.
Yep.
But I mean, in the end, it's a 2-1 loss against the best team in the league. They came out, they played physical, a really lucky hockey bounce goal that really won the game. I mean, the second goal was earned by them, but I felt like the shorthanded goal was earned by the Lightning and their PK, because their PK was outstanding in that game. That's the story of the game, really, was the PK and how great that PK played. And you saw how aggressive Hedman was. So those are the things you got to hold on to coming out of weeks like this. You know, we're still even though we didn't win any games, our magic number has still gone down because some other team in Florida can't win games either.
And they're losing. They're losing today. They're losing tonight.
Oh,
so they're still doing us some favors. And then Boston went and beat Carolina in overtime as well. So I mean, you know, they're going to continue to play and beat those teams that are good. And now we get to come out of this slump and go try and find a way to win on Tuesday against a very good Carolina team that we are 0-1-1 against this team this year. And they've been kind of outplayed badly. I want to say a 6-0 loss and then the overtime loss or shootout. Was a shootout loss. It was a shootout loss. So the second one, the shootout loss, was a little bit closer of a game, but that 6-0 game still stings. And second most goals given up, and probably the second most worst dominated game we played, except against Pittsburgh. Really, that's the team that's dominated the most. That's this most this season. So, yeah, it's a big turnaround for us. What are you kind of looking for, Sonya, going into Tuesday for this team?
Well, I mean, we spoke about shootouts and overtime and all that stuff. I think that if we're going to have games where we tie and we could have to go to overtime, these guys got to be working on that shooting, because I have seen so many shootouts that suck, and that's not usually the things that come out of my mouth. But I'm like, come on, guys, have you been practicing at all? You know, because some of them look like terrible, whatever. For Killer to win the last one, you know, that we had, that speaks to something, because he's not typically the one. You know, you expect it from some of those other good shooters like Ross Colton, like Cooch, you know, even Stamkos, you know. So I just think that they need to work on basic skills. You know, sometimes you just need to go back to the basics and do the stuff that you know how to do and do it well. And I think that's what takes you over into the playoffs. I mean, and obviously we flip a switch after the regular season and a different kind of player comes out in our guys, but they need to show a little bit of that now.
Yeah. I was going to look at this, and then I just changed my page. Hold on. It changes the format. So we've had the toughest schedule, in the second toughest schedule in the NHL since January. We've played 4 games a week, 2 of the weeks this season, and the half the games have been on the road. We've had back-to-backs every weekend, except for this weekend is the only weekend we didn't have back-to-backs this month. We've kind of talked about it before on this show, and they haven't just had a lot of time to practice because they've been on the road, home, back-to-backs. It just hasn't been conducive. But I do see there's an opportunity here at the end of this month going into April, where after Washington, they play them on the 30th. Then they play the Islanders on the 1st, and then they don't play again until the back-to-back against the Rangers and the Islanders on the 5th and 6th. So probably a body maintenance day, but also you might get 2 good days of practice from this team. And I think they're all going to want it, because you're right. There's some fundamentals that I think that they need to just kind of go back to and realize, hey, we just got to get pucks on net. 2 things. Keep them out of our net and get pucks on net. That's the fundamentals of John Cooper hockey, right? A decade later, we know this. We know the recipe to success for John Cooper. Don't let him in and just get pucks on net, and good things will happen. You don't have to keep trying to pass the puck. As talented as this team is, they don't have to pass. And Cooch, is the leader in this team on shots on goal, and he still passes. Look at how much he passes. People are like,
all the time. I scream at my TV so much.
Yes, and he's the one. Like like anybody else, I'm like, okay, I get. Cooch could shoot 20% more. I was actually telling Schoolie this in our little private chat we have. 5 to 7 more shot attempts per game equals 2 to 3 more shots on goal. He would probably have 15 more goals a season.
Right.
If he would just shoot 10% more. And he's already the leader on the team in shots. So anytime people like shoot more, by the way, just to remind you all, he does lead the team in shots. But he still doesn't believe in it. He still thinks of himself as a passer. You know, if you go and watch the most recent episode of Recharge, they covered Vasi and Cooch down in Sunrise for the All-Star game. And we all know Cooch participated in the accuracy competition, the 4 corners, right? Didn't really do awesome, but he comes out saying, "I'm a passer, not a shooter." Well, I think somebody needs to get in his ear and be like, "Yo, you're a shooter. You're a goal scorer too. You're everything. You're Connor McDavid, bro." He could be Connor McDavid. He could be Draisaitl and McDavid together.
Yeah.
He could be the pass guy like Draisaitl, but he could still score 15 to 20 more goals a year if he would just take those little spaces he has right there as he's swinging from the top of the circle to the slot. He always waits like just a little bit, and then he shoots it right in the guy's in the shooting lane. The guy's there. You know, it's just that one little area. I think if someone would get in his ear and be like, "Cooch, shoot.
Trust yourself." He needs to trust himself.
Trust your shot from here, not just your passing. Trust your shooting from here. And we've seen it in the past. And when he's in the zone, he'll shoot whenever he knows he can. But I feel like right now he's just trying to be again that new Cooch and be a team player. And I'm the assist guy. I'm trying to set everybody else up because Brandon Point is so good. Well, he is, but so are you, dude. I think he's probably the top 3 best player in the NHL right now. Period. Yeah, I really do.
Well, and if you look,
it's like him, McJesus, and McKinnon. And like those are my top 3.
You did not just call him McJesus.
Oh yeah, that's what we all call him, McJesus.
I feel like I turn on NHL tonight or whatever that they have on the NHL channel, and I hear Connor McDavid's name no less than 50 times per show. I'm like, does he have a contract with them? Do they pay?
Turn on ESPN and I'll hear about LeBron. You know,
yes, exactly.
Yep.
But those people win stuff.
That's why.
It's the same thing as Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. They win stuff. McJesus hasn't won a damn thing.
No,
he's won a lot of trophies.
He's gonna win
personal trophies.
He's gonna win the personal trophies, but his name is yet to still be on that cup. And I had put it out on the page, and Chris Cran had tweeted it out. The Bolts finally have more than one day between games for the first time since February 21st versus Anaheim. Yeah. Also played 4 back-to-backs during the stretch, 19 games over 33 days. Are the most Lightning have ever played in a 33-day span in franchise history.
Yep.
They practice at Brandon today. They were off yesterday. They practice in Brandon today because of the Disney on the Ice. Ice was being removed from there. And then they flew up to Carolina today. So the other thing that I would take from the Boston game was Boston was on a back-to-back, and they played their number 1 goalie against Tampa instead of Carolina, Carolina can be considered one of the top people, top teams. So for them to play Allmark against us shows that these teams still want to be.
They're worried. They're still worried about us.
We still have respect from the teams in the NHL. Even if our fans are jumping off the ship out there in the Bay.
And we've had these things come out that the NHL did. Yeah,
out there. I know you watch the show. I know some of you are out there jumping off of Gaspar's pirate ship right there in the middle of the bay right now. I know some of you are.
The NHL has done these little questions where they've asked players and coaches, what goalie do you want to net for one game, everything on the line? And it was overwhelming. overwhelming majority was Vasilevsky.
Yes, sir.
As bad as his stats have not been this year, like previous years, you still don't want playoff Vasi.
I don't think you want playoff Lightning.
No. And you saw the toughness that was coming at Boston. We saw that last year in the playoffs against Florida, and that ended up knocking out Florida. I think they're starting to get that mentality. It was kind of passed over some in the news this past week, but during their practice in Boston, the coaching staff just left the players. Just completely went off the ice and left the players there during the middle of practice.
Oh, wow.
And the coaches wanted to see what the players would do. And the players continued to practice a full-on practice themselves and working on what they thought they needed to work on. And they interviewed some of the coaches afterwards and said, why did you guys do that? And they said, because they needed to be a team again. They needed to speak to each other. They needed to do that with each other. And I thought that might be a good move for Coop that we might see coming in. And I think it's just part of his like philosophy, the lawyer philosophy and stuff like that, and outweighing everything. So it's perfect for that. Now we're going to be going with you. We're going to play this game with you, but I do want to ask you, I want to ask you something. And
Phrasing, Thomas, phrasing.
You got the opportunity to sit down on the floor during the Hall of Fame ceremony. You look fabulous. Fabulous.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
She got out of that car and I turned around and I went, oh,
He said, I heard him. He said, oh, no, she didn't.
But let me tell you this. This is how she doesn't like the limelight. Sonya is not that kind of person. And she didn't even want to walk on the blue carpet. They forced her to go and walk on the blue carpet. I'm like, go on the blue carpet.
Right? You're not a player, right?
I'm like, this isn't for me.
Like, this isn't for me. It's for the player. Yeah, I knew
that was the only entrance in to go down there. But she did not want. That's how humble Sonya is.
I would have done a backflip over it if I could have. I just didn't want to do it.
That reminds me of the movie Hook. For anyone that gets a reference, whenever like he taps the stairs and it turns into a red carpet.
Yeah,
and then
I remember that
again, and it turns back because it's like I imagine you would have been like, if I could push a button and just flip it over, and then flip it back over. But listen, you deserve that blue carpet as much as anybody else showing up at that game. Especially over the last decade, being part of the Vinnick era, you are as every bit of valuable to this franchise as any other person that walks in that building on game night.
How did it feel being down there? Now you've been with us for this is your 11th season now, right?
I'm going into 11. I'm still in 10. 11 will be next fall.
Okay.
And so 10 seasons. So some of that on there because, of course, you're in military and grew up in South Carolina and stuff. Like seeing those things that you only hear about, or even some of those players that you've heard stories about but haven't got to meet them and hear you. Do you geek out on those things? Like when someone meets Sonya Bryson-Kirksey, they geek out.
Right.
Like you see it 900 times a night. You can't walk anywhere without people geeking out. Do you get excited when you still see these people? Do you now put faces to stories? I mean, Wall and them up on that stage was crazy that night.
They were funny. Those stories were so funny. And I love hearing a lot of those stories because sometimes if you just catch Mr. E in the hallway, he'll tell you a story anytime, so there's things that you look in the hockey books, so to speak, hockey history, and you see different things, and then you see these people and you're like, oh my God, that's such and such. But then the problem for me that night was some of those same people were walking up to me and saying, hey, I've always wanted to meet you. Can we take a photo? I'm like, what?
That's
crazy. So yeah.
There you go. I think that says it all, right? Like, I mean, I could sit here and geek out on you in my little cave. You're not even in my same presence, but for someone like that to come back and be like, I want to, I think that says it all. You know, that's how important you are to this franchise and this community. Absolutely a part of this community that has brought us together, not just with as much as the Bolts have won and everything they've done for the community, but you're right alongside of them. Every time you get up there to sing that national anthem, we know you represent multiple communities right here in the Tampa Bay area, from our deep roots to the military. Clearly, we talked about earlier your battle with MS and living with MS and thriving with MS as much as you can for all of us. Like, there's so many things that you bring to this community. And again, I'm humbled and grateful and appreciative that you take your time out of your day to spend a little bit of it with us here.
Listen, it's my pleasure. And I try to be an open book. Tom will tell you, I post all kinds of crazy, weird things, you know, when I'm getting my infusions, you know, when I'm at my doctor's appointments and stuff like that. And it's not because I want to tell y'all all my business. It's because I want people to see what it's like to have what I have.
In the life.
And the only thing that I really haven't shown so much is the really hard days is, you know, taking photos or anything, because I'm having a hard day. So it's hard for me to take a photo during that. But, people have to
see the truth, but you don't want to live in that either. You know, right. You're right. And I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's hard. It's just hard for me. I'd rather just put my head under the cover and wait until the next day, you know, until my body gets back on track or whatever. But it's fun. Like I said, I was talking to Mr. E's sister, and first of all, I was starstruck.
Wait, just for a minute, Sonya. For those that don't know who Mr. E is, that's Esposito. we peons have to say Esposito.
No, I call him Phil. I call him Phil because we share the same name.
Okay.
Sonya gets to call him Mr. E.
I call him Mr. E because I'll tell you the story of us. So one day he was saying something in the hallway, and he reminded me so much of my grandfather. And I told him, I'm so sorry if it makes you feel old, but you remind me of my papa so much. And I was calling him Mr. E at that point. And now when he sees me, he's like, hey, kiddo, how you doing? You know? So it's just one of those things, and I will continue to call him Mr. E. I love him so much. But his sister, I met her at the dinner that night. And this is the woman who is the sister of Phil and Tony. And she was like, are you singing tomorrow night? I'm like, no, I'm not going to be there. I have another event. She was like, dadgummit, I came down here for this and to hear you sing. I'm like, Jesus, lady, you're related to hockey himself.
Royalty. Like, not like Hall of Famers, but royalty.
Royalty, exactly.
Family is tantamount to Gretzky. And and that's just one person from the Gretzky family. You're talking about two Esposito.
Two in one family.
That did monumental things as players and as retired players, just as personalities and people. And for me, this is a perfect opportunity to plug Lightning Lore. I talked about it last week. They just dropped a new episode. It's only 7 minutes. It's not long enough.
Okay.
But that's whenever PK is sitting down with Espo and Paul. The guys, the two founders, basically, the two main guys that made it all happen. Yeah. And, PK has been here for 30 years. I mean, that guy's name, we talk about that guy's name needs to be up in the freaking rafters.
Absolutely. That's what I said, too.
And Tampa Bay. I mean, it's part of, like, everything he's done. But anyways, I digress. It's an amazing sit-down, intimate interview. Just PK with those two guys at the one Italian restaurant that they always go to in Ybor. I can't remember. No, it's not. It's anyways.
I forget. Espo said it in his speech at the Hall of Fame thing.
He had it's a different name now. It's a different name, but it's the same.
La Terraza,
but it's
La Terraza. Okay,
that's what it is. That's what it used to be. I think it's something now. But anyways, it's awesome. It's just the three of them. It's super intimate, and it's like the best of Espo. And then it's because you know how Espos does kind of have that grandfatherly quality to him, almost like I do, and I get on random tangents, but he just goes on. And what's cool about having Paul there is because Paul kind of like brings it back. He's like, no. So this is it. This, and then it's funny because we've all heard the Espo story about Expo Hall, right? How he like left around it. So in today's opinion, mostly it's like, I don't know if it was me or someone else. I'm like, come on, Espo. You've been telling that story as you being the guy that did it for 30 years. Right?
Yeah. And
now you're going to like kind of hedge. You're like, no, we know it was you. But I'll tell you right now, that's a really good watch. So far, I think the first episode was like 12 minutes. The last one was like 7 minutes. So I imagine it's probably like a 45-minute thing that they're going to put out in a few segments. And then also a great friend of the show, Greg Wolf, the Block Party.
Yeah.
A new episode this week.
With Callahan.
With Callie. Yeah. With Callie. And I only bring that up because this coming weekend is the Ryan Callahan Foundation event at Armature Works. I completely spaced it until just today, and I think I haven't looked. I don't know if anybody knows, but if there's still tickets available,
there is.
So I'm gonna probably change my plans to try and attend that event because the theme is cosmic. This year they're gonna have like tarot readings and like these psychic and interstellar kind of themes. And so I'm and I've never made it to an event at Armature Works before. So
I will be there.
I've always kind of like
it is gorgeous in that building. I love it.
Well, I've been to Armature Works, but I haven't been to a lightning event there, and I know there's been a few, so I've never been able to kind of just like rub elbows with the players. Like, I always kind of. I don't know. Like, I kind of try to distance myself a little bit because I feel like once I enter that world, I'm gonna be like 10 times worse than Thomas Schooley. I will be
you don't.
The biggest lightning stalker of all time. I promise
I've been to events as close as I am to the organization. I've been to events where the guys have been there, and honestly, I usually just walk past them. I might do one of these numbers and keep moving, and usually one of them will come over and say hi to me. As opposed to like it was last year. Veterans Day, and we went to this event over at the Marriott, the new one, and it was up on the roof. And so I go up there and I walk in the door, and so just like I said, I'm walking past them, and Killer happened to be coming. He was holding drinks for them or whatever, so I was like, hey, Killer, or whatever, and just kept walking. And then Maroon sees me and he goes, Sonya, happy Veterans Day. And I was like, thank you. And I kept moving. I didn't go back over there at all.
As soon as Stash sees Killer, he fangirls out, and that's the end of it.
Like I said, it means a lot because it's Killer usually in that frame lifting the cup in 2020. That's usually the guy in that frame. So the fact that I swapped him out for El Capitan this week, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. It's just because I'm lazy and I haven't gotten the frame that I need to put. And
you gotta do better. You gotta do better.
I need better than that. That's awesome swag already.
Okay, but you still got some room for some more stuff back there.
You're right.
I have to read this tweet from Sonya's Twitter that
By the way, we only needed you for 30 tonight.
Yeah. I'm
here. It's all good.
I see some of the people wearing their Stanley Cup rings. Some of the employees, Greg Wolf, you, and some in my head, I'm like, why are they wearing them and stuff like that? And then you answered it. Like when it was going through my head, you answered it, and I thought this was a great tweet, and also who you are. So Sonya said, what having a Stanley Cup ring has taught me, it's not meant to be boxed up or hidden away. It's a gift, a thank you for hard work. Many people have never seen one. I feel my job is to share this amazing gift with as many people as I can. And I was like, that's why.
That sums up Sonya Bryson-Kirksey to me, and like in a beautiful way. Honestly, I think that's what you're all about. And
I saw that tweet and I was like, now I get it. Now I get it. Because like I saw at the Hall of Fame ceremony, like Greg Wolf was wearing his. And I'm thinking, you have Marty St. Louis there. You have like most of those 30 players had won a Stanley Cup trophy. And I'm like, and they have different rings of their own and stuff like that. So I was like, you know, he's wearing this 2020 or I don't know which one because there's two of them. So yeah, so you guys can pick which one you want there. So yeah, and so
thank you, Mr. Vinnick. Thank you, Mr. Vinnick.
So I was like, I don't understand it because he's among greatness, you know, there. And then I saw that tweet from you, and I went, now I get it. Now I get it.
I mean, every single game, you have someone that'll come up to you and say, "Oh wow, what cool rings!" And Jimmy will take his off because he wears the 2021, and I'll usually wear the 2021 one, and we'll take them off and hand them to people, put them in their hands, you know. And most people freak out. They're like, "Oh my God, you know, I've never touched a Stanley Cup. Are these real?" And we're like, "Yep." Yeah. And so they're like really in awe of, you know, the greatness of this piece of metal, but they're in their hands, and they love that fact. So they end up taking pictures with them on their hands. I let kids try them on. I don't care who it is, because you know what? They're insured, first of all. And
well,
if anything,
I will wear them next game, and guess what? Well, they gone.
I do gotta say, man, I was a little bit disappointed. I finally got the whole family, all three of us, to a hockey game for the first time ever.
When was it?
The 19th. When you weren't.
You didn't sing.
I didn't sing on the 18th.
Oh, that's right.
I was back. 19th. I was back on the 19th.
That's right. Oh, that's right. My son was.
Because that was Sunday.
But that's right. That's right. I was able to point you out. It's like, see, she's on our show, son. You see
You're so JP, funny, Stash.
I'm like, that guy. Yeah, see him.
JP is so cool. You know what? I love JP. JP is like the guy, you know, sometimes you'll be walking through the building and there's like a little corner somewhere and JP will just be standing there. I'm like, where did you come from, buddy?
Creeper.
He's just all over the place. No, he's not a creeper. Don't you say that's about my buddy. That's my buddy.
No, he's very sneaky. He's very sneaky.
And you know who else? You know who else is one of my best buds in the building? Take a wild guess. Alumni.
Oh,
Adam Hall.
No, he never speaks to me.
I bet it, because I love Adam Hall, but I still think that he thinks he's like way above his depth.
Brian Bradley.
Brian Bradley. That's my buddy.
I knew it wasn't Anderchuk because you don't drink. So
right. Yeah. Brian sees me. Literally, he sees me before I see him. There have been times when I've been on suite level and I'm walking down the hallway and I could just hear someone saying, "Sonya!" And I'm like, what in the world? I turn around. It's Brian.
Higher pitch. When Brad's talks, it's actually a little bit higher pitch than that. He has
yeah, he does have a kind of higher pitch, but he is so funny. But he is such an open book, and he's so fun to be around. I love him that he doesn't take himself so seriously that he cannot have a conversation with a human being, you know. And some of our alumni aren't quite that way, so I'm not going to mention names, but I just love Brian because of how he is, and I will always love him because of how he is. I love his family. I've met all of his family from Canada and everybody, and it's just everybody has that same wonderful personality, and it's wonderful just to, you know, to kind of come upon that, because most people, once they get to that level, you know, they're not like a normal people, so to speak, you know, and they don't want to be considered as such. So us normal people are like, hey, how you doing? Us normal. I'm a normal people. I say that all the time. Every single game, I tell people I'm just a regular people. You can come up to me and say hi. We have people that'll stand on the wall and just look at me, and I'm like, you better bring your butt over here and say hi. You know,
it's when I hear people complain about how the alumni stuff, we always get Brian Bradley, and
he's the next in the circle, if you ask
me. We always get Brian Bradley, but he is such a people person. He is an ambassador for that team also.
He sure is.
He came here.
for the
At the end of
longest
his career,
time,
right.
he has been the alumni that's been the face, and it's been
Yep.
between him and Anderchuk, and he comes out a lot. But
But
he
he's behind the
is
scenes. Andrew
one of
Chuck's
the
like
most.
the face.
He is
on
one
the-
of the
on
most
the
down to earth.
broadcasts. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the most down to earth people that you could just sit down and have a conversation with him. The first time I really had any kind of conversation with him, it was at the state fair. Josie and I had went there, and they were doing a roundtable discussion, and they had one representative from every sports team in Tampa, and he was the sports representative for the Lightning. And after it was over, we were both wearing Lightning shirts, and he came over and talked to us, and we literally had to say to him, okay, we got to go. Like, there's an Amish donut with my name on it back
like,
there.
yo, do you know there's deep fried everything over there? I need to get some food, Brads.
Like,
What's your favorite fair food?
Hungry.
Amish donut.
Amish donut. What's yours, Stash?
I'm just a fan. Cue jokes. I'm a fan of a giant corn dog.
Corn dog. Okay, that's a good one too. I like turkey legs. I get the giant turkey leg. I'm the kid walking around the fair with an icy and a turkey leg.
Yeah. See, and if there's any kind of homemade ice cream, I'm in for that, or like a nice frozen treat. But like turkey legs for me, I think where I grew up got a little bit played out because it was like that was like the main thing that everyone had, right? And like I grew up in a small area, so like we had county fairs or even the state fair. It was like we didn't have the selection we have at this state fair. So like a 16-inch long hot dog and the super crispy, like almost a fish batter, right? Like a fish and chip kind of batter, right? And then like all the mustard in the world, no ketchup, just a bunch of mustard,
just mustard.
Yeah. Sonya, have you had the Amish donut, Sonya?
I don't think I have.
Okay, me and you driving down to Sarasota to their stand that they have down in Sarasota.
Okay.
We're gonna go down there one time.
Amish donut.
No, it's not at Yoder's. They have their own corner place that has a permanent stand.
You best not go without me. Okay, I'm gonna say right now.
We'll make it a road trip.
We'll do a road trip and we'll film it. All of us.
Yes, that'll be fun.
I think. Listen, that's something we need to workshop in the off season.
Listen,
a little like a road
that
trip.
Amish donut melts in your mouth. And see, everybody here, road trip, so good. I will give you money for the donut. I mean,
I will give you money.
I'm telling you, the Amish donut is heaven.
Okay.
Like, there's things I plan on seeing in heaven. There's Amish donut and Sonya Bryson. That's
I'm gonna tell your mom. I'm gonna tell your mom.
I'll be at the door. I'm like, Mom, I've been expecting you.
Wow, Sonya, you and the Amish donut, and then his mom.
Okay.
Wow. They're so good. They're so good.
That's funny. Okay. What's this game thing?
All right, let's get you out of here. We usually we do like a cumulative thing, kind of like they do on all the sports shows, where like we guess stats or wins or whatever else, and then at the end of the season we have an arbitrary, meaningless win for whoever guessed the most stats correctly. So we do. Usually Shooter runs this game. He's the one that logs all the numbers, so I can't update anybody after last week's question and game, whatnot. So usually it's the three of us, our hosts, and then we select somebody from the comments to represent the Thunder. You, Sonya, will be sitting in for what's his name? I forgot. Oh, Shooter. You'll be sitting in for Shooter.
What's his name?
There's so many S's on the show. There's so many S's on this show. That's the other reason we love you, because you fit the theme. Rob does not. Oh, wait. Yeah,
okay.
I'm just kidding. No. All right. So we'll start right now. We have 2 games coming up, thankfully. Lightning, the slowest week in 3 months they've had. We only have 2 games this week. Well, I guess we have the Sunday game, right? On the first, right? Yeah. Okay. So we do have 3 games. But so we'll first go with goals, most goals from a Lightning player against Carolina on Tuesday. Sonya, we'll let you go first, filling in for Shooter.
Most goals. This is a projection?
Yeah.
Yes, a guess.
Ooh.
It's like how they do the fantasy thing on like the NFL shows.
Yeah.
You know, like they do the pick'ems or whatever.
I would say Carolina 2. I mean, honestly, there can be multiple.
Which player of ours?
Which player
would lead the team in goals against?
Oh,
Carolina,
which player? I got it.
Yeah, even if it's a 1-0.
Boogers. Let's see. I think I'm gonna say Killer because Killer's been hot.
So hot.
Killer's been hot. I'm gonna say Killer.
Hot. All right, she's taking my pick. Right off the rip, we bring the host in. She steals my thunder.
I'm going to Hagel.
By the way,
Hagel? That's a good pick too.
Right. Who in the Thunder, the first one to answer most goals against Carolina, will represent the Thunder in the chat? Schoolie says Hagel. I'm going with Kucherov. I think he finally starts shooting after all of the naysayers. I'm going to go with Kuch. So who in the Thunder out there? Chris, I would like if you're still here, I would actually like if you joined because usually
Chris, long time. Are you here?
And you always watch. So I feel like April, Serena, they've all done it. So Chris, if you're out there and you want to give me a pick for most goals against Carolina, and we got 3 more questions after this.
Someone on YouTube said Stammer.
YouTube said Stammer.
There we go.
Well,
Chris,
all right, Lisa, next time. Follow us next time. We'll get you in there, but he's going Colton for the Thunder.
That's another good choice.
I agree. The boss has been Floss lately.
Yeah.
All right. So, which Lightning player will have the most points overall against Washington? Home game Thursday at 7:00. The Washington Capitals basically only have Ovechkin's legacy to play for anymore. So which Lightning player will have the most points against Washington on Thursday?
Kucherov.
Woo, Sonya taking the favorite.
Because he'll at least get assists if somebody else get goals.
Exactly. He'll get the primary assist on all the goals.
Chris, who do you say gets the most points?
Yes, we'll give you the second pick here, Chris.
So, Sonya, while we're waiting on that, where are you going to be performing? I see you're performing for the Frozen 4.
Frozen 4, that's in April. But this weekend I'm going back home to my hometown.
Stingrays.
It's the Greenville Swamp Rabbits.
Swamp Rabbits, that's it. Yeah.
It's their new hockey team. They've been there for a while, and I have yet to go to a game. So Jimmy got a hold of them when he was up there not long ago, and they were just astounded that I would want to come. So I told him I would come, and I'm not singing the anthem. I'm going to sing "God Bless America" instead. So
listen. That's something we don't. I mean, I love the national anthem, but "God Bless America" is my favorite, quote unquote, patriotic song, and I can't say that I've ever heard you sing it live. So, like, I've
done it at the Rays game a few times.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I've never. I don't get all the way to St. Pete.
Neither do I.
Okay. And actually, after certain recent events, I'm kind of been told not to go to St. Pete again for a little while. So, okay, well, maybe a certain stretch of Central Avenue I'm not allowed to go to. But that's
Are you banned?
That's a story for overtime. That's a story for the post-game show. Okay, the post-show show, we call it.
So,
let's just say that I've been discouraged from going to a certain stretch of Central Avenue for the next certain amount of time. I'm not. That's all I'm gonna say.
We're gonna have a talk.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Sonya, Serena points out that the Swamp Rabbits are the Orlando Solar Bears' rival.
Oh, I know they played them before. Actually, I was going to go to the game where they played each other here, but it just so happened that day that I woke up and I wasn't feeling good, so I didn't want to go all the way over there and not feel good. So, yeah, I know that, and they're number 1 seed in their division, so it's pretty funny.
Look at Sonya going, like she knows all her stuff.
You can tell Shooter's not here because I just let Schoolie take the game way off the rails. It's not your fault, Sonya. It's definitely a Schoolie's fault.
Chris picked pick Sergachev.
No. It's
Sergachev. Okay.
I have it written down. It's Sergey. You took Cooch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take Killer for points.
All right, Killer again. All right.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take
Stamkos for school.
Nope. I'm gonna take. Actually, I'm gonna take Stamkos.
How did we know? Yes, Stamkos.
All right. I don't know if you've seen the episodes where Sonya, Schoolie and I actually go toe to toe about who's the bigger Stamkos fan, because I know I'm a big fanboy about Killer, but
okay,
to me Stamkos is the peak of Lightning players. Like I love Vinny. Marty obviously is probably one of my favorite hockey players of all time, just because of story and what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, Stamkos is one of the greatest hockey players of all time because of his story and all that. So, like, I'm a huge
now who's going
fan.
off the game?
So, I know. All right, here we go. Because I completely forgot to click ahead to the calendar. We're gonna pretend that I didn't get an actual stat for the Islanders game, but the next category is most hits by a forward through all 3 games. Who has the most hits through all 3 games by a forward? Who's leading the hit parade?
I don't know. What's his name? Maybe is Perbix a forward?
No.
No, he's not. Okay. No, he's not.
Plays the blue line.
Blue line. Okay.
Maroon Perry, Paul Hagel.
The new guys, you know. Yeah.
He's been pretty strong.
Yeah.
I mean, he's made a name for himself, definitely for all the games. People know who he is now. Okay, I'll take Janot.
There you go. Take the new guy. I like it.
Who do you say, Chris? I'm going to say Icy Mop.
Oh yeah, him too.
Okay.
Him too.
Mikey.
Good
Mikey
one.
likes
Mikey
it.
Icy Mop.
Mikey likes it.
Or as what's his name? The announcer, he calls him Easy Mop.
Easy Mop.
Yeah.
Brand. That's Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave.
Just another Lightning legend that's been on the show. Whatever.
Yeah. You got to do that. You got to do that.
So Hagel. Chris goes with Hagel.
Hagel.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going with Colton. It's the boss. It's the boss this week.
Oh, you think he's going to crank it up?
He's actually the number 1 hits in all forwards, or he leads the team in hits. Actually,
he leads.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
There you go. I take the deep dives, Sonya.
You do.
I find them.
You do.
Schoolie may know it all, but I'm like a dog with a bone. When I want something, when I want to find something, I'm digging it.
You know what? The only time I do deep dives is when I want to prove my husband wrong on something. I'm like, wait a minute, and I'll go to my phone, and I'm like, nope, it's right here.
I have no idea.
That's funny because me and Sonya have a mutual friend, Michelle Harrison, who, when her and No Facebook Joe are disagreeing on something Lightning, and she thinks she's right, she texts me right away, and she's like, "Tell me I'm right, so I can." And so she does the deep dive too, whenever she's fighting with her husband and wants to prove.
Right? Yeah, we do that all the time. So.
All right. Well, I'm glad that we started the show at 8:00, Sonya.
I'm glad we did too, Jesus.
Just like anyone else, it's contagious. The show's contagious. Like, oh, you can't leave. I get it. But here we go. It's the last question category we have. Total shots from the Lightning as a team this week in all 3 games. Total shots as a team. We can all and we can tie. This is the one that we can all basically guess. If we all guess the same number, it's fine. Whatever. But 3 games, and that's Carolina, Washington, and the Islanders. So at Carolina, home against Washington, and then home against the Islanders.
These against 3 teams that shoot a lot. So,
but it's our shots against them.
Right. So how many shots we have? But I think it's appropriate to think about how much the other team is shooting, and then there's got to be some kind of response. So
I'm gonna say Vassie's number and go 88.
Okay.
88? I was thinking 80s at first, and then I'm like,
I originally was going to go with Ross Colton's number 79, and then
that's 10 too many.
Yeah, I would say 67. My number.
Okay.
There you go.
Low. You've been watching this team. All right. All right. 67. 99 from Long Time. I like it.
99. Oh, ooh, that's
Optimistic.
generous.
Yeah. That's 33 shots a game.
A game, yeah.
That's a number the Lightning do not average this season. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Chris Longtime's one of the guys I was kind of pointing at earlier. That guy, I like our fans, but he keeps it real. I like Chris. He keeps it real, but a little bit, hey, let's keep it on the glasses half full. I like this from him. I'm gonna go. I've been thinking about this. I'm gonna go 91.
Okay.
Damn.
Boom. Exactly. El Capitan. I think 91. Because I think we'll probably have one game with a lot of shots. And 2 games with like a few shots.
I think Carolina's going to be low, and then
I think so too. I think Carolina's going to be low. I think everything whatever we throw is going to have to be goals with them.
Yeah, but also, we kind of own the Islanders.
Yeah,
we're kind of in their head. If there's one team that's kind of like teetering, that doesn't know their identity, that's the team that we're kind of in their head about. Yeah. I think they're still struggling with their identity. They made 2 Eastern Conference Finals and then didn't make the playoffs, and they're like right there right now, right?
Yeah,
they're kind of right there. So they're finally back, but they aren't playing the way that they were a couple years ago.
Okay.
So it's gonna be, they're the wild card right now,
and they're currently beating the Devils right now 2-1, and the Devils only have 17 shots on goal against them.
But the Devils also are resting their main people too.
They're locked. Yeah, they're locked. And really, I would have to say that like Florida's not playing good enough for the Islanders to be playing super hard, but at the same time, once again, the Lightning, which is why their strength of schedule is second most since January, is that we're playing all teams that are on the bubble. We're playing wild card teams or 3-seed teams, and then or the 2 best teams in the league, right? So that's basically been our gauntlet.
That Islander game for the Lightning is going to be a 4-point game because of the fact that the Islanders are right there on that bubble. It will actually lower our magic number by 4 if we beat them.
Okay.
Yeah, we're 7 points ahead of them right now too.
Right, so but we're
7 points out.
But they can max at 99. Right now, the Lightning can only max at 106, so that's 7 points is the difference. So if you take the win from them against us, that would take them down to 97, which means we only need 98 to get in the playoffs.
Okay.
So that's going to be a 4-point swing.
Which that almost feels like a Western Conference number to me.
Yeah.
Right?
You think
less than 100 points to make the playoffs in the Eastern. That's a pretty low standard right now for the East over the last 3 or 4 years. So, which the way the Eastern Conference started, I'm actually surprised that you can get in with less than 100 points this year, because every single team from the East last season had 100 points or more. Even
as of right now, 98 points gets you in. As of right now, which is like
6. I think one. Is either 1 or 2 or 1 or 4, I think, was the lowest team in the East last season. So that's a 4 to 6 point swing, which, seems little, but over the course of a season, that's kind of a big deal, especially when you look at the West and how kind of weak they are. We know that. So,
but the West will surprise you sometimes. Even though they're weak on a general level, you go out there not doing your best, and they will wipe the floor with you.
Yeah, well, we saw that. If you don't have your best player against their best team, you're not going to win. We saw that in the final last year, right? No Brandon Point, we lost in 6.
Yeah,
and a couple of really close games. So yeah, it's gonna there's 2 things. A, we just gotta stay the course. win just enough to get in, because that's all this Lightning team needs, right? It's just
Yeah.
to get to the dance, to get to the dance, and they're going to John Travolta the shit out of you, right? Let's be honest. Just let me get on the dance floor, and then I'm going to hand drive you to the Stanley Cup Finals, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, Dallas, they kind of took a little bit of step back, but they've been leading their division all year. Colorado got healthy, so they kind of came on. But that's still a tough division out in the West. All three of those teams. Edmonton, we like to talk a lot of shit about them because they're not as deep as they are, but they still have McDavid and Draisaitl, and their goaltending has gone up a little bit. So the West is still going to be
a test.
The team that gets to the final from the West is going to be one of the best teams in the NHL.
That's correct.
If they're from the West, no matter what. So
yeah.
And it's the hardest road maybe ever to a finals out of the East this season, I would say.
Yeah, because all the good players got traded to the East this year.
Well, because the West got no money, and the West also has been kind of hemorrhaging contracts and money for a little while too. So
I haven't been paying attention to the money side.
That's unfortunate. That's the unfortunate part of doing a show like this, is you got to deep dive into money too. Cap Friendly is my favorite website right now.
Cap Friendly, gotcha.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sonya, we've had you way longer than we even deserve. I know you have a long day ahead of you tomorrow.
I do. I have 3 appointments tomorrow, so it's going to be terrible.
And I know that, again, and you have to deal with the VA as a former military. I understand that that's a headache.
You know what? Itself. I don't have a problem with the VA. The VA has been great for me, honestly. But the things that I have to do are just my first appointment, 8:00. I have aqua therapy. So just wrap your mind around that. So physical therapy, but in a pool,
in the water.
And it wears me completely out. So I'm going to be like dragging myself to the other 2 appointments.
I had to climb my ladder like 3 times to trim my palm tree yesterday. And I'm like, oh, that's it for me. I already got my ladder muscles got used to it. You're going to use your ladder muscles for the entire time. That's what aqua therapy got. Those are your core, your hip flexors.
Oh yeah, and the guy that runs my therapy, he is relentless. He is like work as soon as I get in that pool. So he doesn't play with me at all. But it's just to keep me flexible so that things don't go south. So I'm all in.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you what, Sonya, it's been a pleasure as always, and going forward, maybe we gotta have like a monthly Sonya night or something like that. Maybe I mean, I'm getting greedy. I'm gonna get greedy. I'm not gonna lie. I am. I'm getting greedy. But this is one of the greatest shows we have because it's just straight positivity. Again, no one can be negative in the comments when Sonya is on the page.
You can be yourself. It doesn't bother me. I was in the military for almost 21 years. Listen, I've heard things that would make you cringe. I promise you.
It's not that we're afraid to be blue or anything else like that around you. It's just the fact that you bring positivity. You exude the vibes that are contagious, and that's what I'm saying. It's not that we don't have the ability, and as soon as you're gone, people are gonna be like, you're mashing keyboards. But while you're here, only good vibes, and that means just like everything else you do, it's gold. Everything you touch is magic. Isn't that a song or something?
Yeah. Well, you haven't.
Every little thing you do is magic. That's it.
You haven't lived until you've been threatened to get shot by Sonya for sneaking up on her.
Wow.
I can shoot. I tell people that all the time. Don't play with me. Okay. Don't play with me.
Bradley,
one more thing, really quick before we leave. You guys, I have to laugh because when I put my glasses on, I saw that everybody else put their handle underneath their name, and I put Anthem Queen. What's wrong with me?
No, honestly, I only changed mine because Shooter's not here, so I went more professional. Usually, my name is Chief Chiefer.
Chief Chiefer.
Yeah.
Take from that what me and Ian Beckles are really good friends. Just take away from that what you need.
Oh, I love Ian. That's my buddy.
Yeah. By the way, we'll be doing a live stream on April 8th. From his dignitary club.
Yeah.
Okay.
Live stream. We did a live stream for that New Jersey game. Or no, the Philly game. The Philly game, right? Yeah.
No, it was New Jersey. It was the first
game.
The first Jersey game. That's right. We did, and we're gonna do another one on April 8th from his
Very
place.
cool.
Yeah.
I love him. He was one of the first like stars, people from famous people. here in Tampa that befriended me and, meant it. And he'll tell you in a hot minute, he loves my kids and, Jimmy and everything.
You guys are the same people. You're the same
Yeah.
people. You don't believe in your stardom. You just treat yourselves as regular people, fortunate to have the job and the station that you have, and that's what we love about Ian. We've been doing Shooter and I've been doing stuff with Ian for 6-7 years now.
Yeah, so, same here. I've been to his house. We've eaten, we've shared meals and talked about crap, and he's just a good guy. I love him so much.
We might have to have you join us if we do one in the postseason, maybe down there.
Absolutely. I would love to be on with my bud.
It'll be a good time. So, well, let's get you out of here, Sonya. I know you got a long day, and I'm humbled that you spent so much time with us tonight. It's been our pleasure, and of course, the pleasure of all of our viewers and listeners. I promise you, this will be our most listened to, watched show of the season. With no compare. Thank you so much, Sonya, for being here.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Right. Go get some rest. We'll see you this weekend down there.
I love you.
For the
love
MS
you some more.
Once again, what's your team, Sonya, before you get out of here for the MS Walk?
It's called Puck MS.
I love a play on words.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you, Sonya. Go get some rest. We'll see you later.
Yes, sir. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There you have it. An hour and 16 minutes without Shooter. It's going to be the most listened to episode once again.
Always when he's not here, we always have our best shows.
Let me go back. I don't think he might not be here anymore, but let me go back to my favorite comment of the night. I think it was maybe the third comment that we got from a guy that I like to really go at it with on social media, Matthew Orozco. Let's send Shooter to Spain. You know why he posted that? Because he knows when Shooter's in Spain, we win.
Yep.
Most of you don't remember he kind of got trapped there because of COVID in 2021. And we won a lot of games while he was in Spain. A lot of
we did end up winning it all once he was here.
That's true. But the most difficult series that we played were while he was in Spain. So, that being said, I don't know how we wrapped the show up, right?
Mandingo. That's the best way to.
Oh, he's the new bathroom Becky. Yeah. The new bathroom Becky, right? Or I call him. I can't say that on the show. Maybe another time.
Shooter. That's what we're gonna call him.
Shooting squat. It's the old shooting squat. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So you guys, we're gonna be doing the after show, which is basically us just being uncensored. It's only available on YouTube. It's just sitting there after the show. We like to decompress and talk about what we liked about the show and what we didn't like about
life
the show
as well, not just straight up hockey all the time. Like,
right,
we're talking about hockey, but we also are friends and we have life stuff that we don't get to talk about all the time, even in our private chat throughout the week. So, even San Shooter, we're gonna wrap it up right now, and then head right over to YouTube. I know Sonya's gone, but trust me, the entertainment is not over. I got to go find the exit video because I don't usually do this, but outro. All right. Are you guys ready? I'm ready. Thank you, Schoolie. Thank you, Sonya. Shout out to Monkey Cult Coffee and Matt. I'm sorry. I got so enamored by our guest, but go to Monkey Cult Coffee. I was at least wearing the swag and drinking from the cups. You know, they got the great pound cakes, the rum cakes.
I was gonna say if I had a rum cake here, I would sure hawk it. I can tell you that.
The rum cakes and then coconut rum, toasted rum, coconut rum. Ah, damn it, Matt. He probably left. Anyways, Monkey Cult Coffee. Go there, buy some shit. It's delicious. We'll see you on YouTube's. Thanks.
That's it.